in night 2 is probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. The animatronics can teleport. You know, what's worse than being attacked by an amalgamating German bear that eats children? Being attacked by one that can break the laws of physics. For some reason, Scott Cawthon decided to do a fat line of code before coding this part of the game because he made it so that if animatronics make it to this top position on the map, depending on which animatronic they are, they will teleport to either the left or right vent opening. I really don't know why this is in the game, however, it's not as bad as you think it is because each animatronic can only teleport one map, depending on which animatronic they are, once per night. But like, why the fuck is this a thing? As for the challenge aspect of this night, it really doesn't exist because pretty much all the equipment in the game is used for crowd control, and there's no crowd if there's just one. So we're just gonna play this night exactly like night 1, however, we do need to check the vents every now and then to not die. After we complete the night, we are required to do another salvage segment so we can get the completion ending. And this time, it's everybody's favorite animatronic, Peanut Head Jimmy Neutron. This salvage segment is going to be pretty much the exact same as the one in night 1, so we successfully complete it quite easily and move into night 3. Come get your candy here. I have candy all day, every day. Nobody's going to stop me. But now I need basketball. So I have no risk right now. Do I really feel like getting sued? Yes. Shout out to all my people who are being sued. Fruity Maze and Midnight Motorist go over there. I could buy a clown. Brother, I am clown. Come get your here. I have all day. I already I have all day, every day. Yeah. LeBron Jammies. Oh, I could get candy. Put Ned Bear up there. He's probably gonna eat a kid, but that's fine. I don't want anybody tripping in the pool trying to get the candy. I got it. Oh, clown. Oh, I brought it back. Woo. Oh, I almost got 20. Okay, now I need to focus. Nope. Yeah. I didn't talk at all because I need to listen. I need to listen. 3, 2, 1. How many turned away? Oh, baby. Reel them in like that. 0 lawsuits. I don't get sued at all.
I always come back.
When we begin night 3, we're gonna instantly do the exact same thing that we've done in both nights 1 and 2, and that's accept the next sponsorship. This time, it's gonna be Flo's Glossy Floss sponsorship for $1,000. I can't believe I said that name. What the fuck? Other than that, we're just gonna be doing more of the usual, so just playing arcade games and buying stuff. But instead of just wasting our money on some random pedo clowns, we're actually gonna do something pretty cool with it. This time, we're gonna be getting some achievements. More specifically, in this night, we're gonna unlock both the Trash and the Gang achievement, as well as the Mediocre Melodies. The first thing we need to do to unlock these achievements is purchase both the Deluxe Concert Stage and the Star Curtain Stage for $1,310. Once we do this, all we have to do is place certain animatronics in all 5 animatronic spots on the stage. So to unlock the Trash and the Gang achievement, we need to place Bucket Bob, Mr. Can Do, Mr. Hugs, Number 1 Crate, and Pan Stan on all 5 spots on the stage. Once we do this, we'll be awarded the achievement as well as $1,000. And believe it or not, this is the exact same thing we do for the Mediocre Melodies achievement. We need to place Orville the Elephant, Happy Frog, Mr. Hippo, Ned Bear, and Pig Patch on the stage. And once we do this, we'll get the achievement as well as $10,000. And that's pretty much going to be it for the Tycoon segment. I bought some of the Rockstar animatronics and just played more basketball because I'm good at it. Just go to the night segment. When we start up the night segment, this is where the challenge starts to become, you know, a challenge. Because now, not only do we have a German bear crawling around, but we also have a British person. Not that one. The crowd control aspect of the tools that I talked about in the last night now become apparent because there's 2 animatronics trying to kill us. So now's the night we need to start thinking about a strategy, and that starts with understanding one very important feature of this game. Alright, when you hear the words Five Nights at Freddy's, what do you think of? Probably like weird animatronic furry cameras. You think of I already know what's gonna happen again. There's still another game. I know it's gonna happen again.
Welcome back to another FNAF review.
Haha, why are you here? Let me just take a wild guess. You want me to do FNAF 4?
That's right, my complete is brilliant on taking this place.
What am I even supposed to do for FNAF 4? There's literally no challenges I could do.
Maybe do that 4 with no bait. Just kidding, you do that every time you play.
Wow, good one. You're acting like you also don't play Five Nights at Freddy's.
Maybe you should spend 5 nights with some hoes.
Okay. Can I just do no sound? Does that work?
Yeah, that works, but you're still crazy.
Yeah, and guess what? You're British. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally made it to the 4th game in this series, and somehow I continue to make the worst choices possible, because today, we're going to be beating Five Nights at Freddy's 4 without any game sounds. Somehow, I've made a stupider challenge than my Five Nights at Freddy's 3 challenge, because we are playing a game that opens up with the phrase, "This game relies on sound cues," and we're removing the sound. So the rules for this challenge are very, very simple. We're going to be beating Five Nights at Freddy's 4, but throughout every single night, my game will be completely muted. Absolutely zero sound. I'm also not allowed to use any audio visualizers to tell if there is sound, and of course, I'm not allowed to have any fun. And to make this video a little bit interesting, and to prove that I actually did something this stupid, there'll be an attempt counter on screen at all times. If you look at the top left of the screen, that's how many attempts I've put into this entire challenge, and trust me, it is a lot of them. If you want to see me continue this series playing some newer games, or you want me to go back to some of the older games and try out some new challenges, let me know in the comments below. So without further ado, let's get straight into this challenge, but of course, we still have to do a gameplay explanation. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is pretty much completely different from every other game in this series. The layout of your office, or in this case your bedroom, is a lot like Five Nights at Freddy's 2, except for this time, we do not have any cameras. So to get rid of the 4 animatronics coming after you, those being Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Freddy, we need to listen for some distinct sounds, and when we hear those sounds, we need to slam the door in their stupid faces. There's a lot more stuff that I could talk about, but I'm gonna wait and talk about that when it's actually relevant. So basically, all you need to know is we play as a child with brain damage. Maybe. And all we do is walk around his bedroom, closing doors, flashing flashlights, and dying a lot. And that's basically it. Let's go to night 1. In this night, Freddy and Foxy are basically completely irrelevant. Foxy is not here at all, and Freddy only has a max AI value of 2. So for those two, we basically don't have to worry about them at all. But for Bonnie and Chica, that's completely different. In this game, Bonnie and Chica actually work very similar to the Bonnie and Chica in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Every 5 seconds, they'll have what we like to call a movement opportunity. And with each night being around 6 minutes long, that means they're going to have 72 different movement opportunities throughout every single night. But what exactly is a movement opportunity? Again, every 5 seconds, there will be a chance for a movement opportunity, and what the game does is it creates a random number between 1 and 20 and compares that to the animatronic's AI value. So taking Bonnie's max AI value in this night, which is 3, the game will create that random number every 5 seconds and compare the number 3 to that number. So with Bonnie's AI value of 3 as our example, if the random number was something like 7, the animatronic is not going to move. But if it's something like 2, the animatronic will move. So that basically just means the lower the AI value, the less chance they have to move. Here's what the map of this location looks like. Bonnie and Chica will start off the night at this top square right here, and they'll move 1 square with each successful movement opportunity, with Bonnie going down the left hallway and Chica going down the right one. Once they reach the middle position of this hallway, they're actually visible by the player, but you can only see them if you use their flashlight, and once you do, this will scare them off and push them back up to the upper part of the hallway. But, just for example, say, I didn't do that, and they had another successful movement opportunity, they would then be at our door. If we happen to use our flashlight while they're at the door, that'll result in a jump scare, so we're meant to close the door, which will push them back to the upper part of the hallway again. But how do you know that they're at your door, you may be asking? Oh, that's simple. We just have to listen for some breathing. Oh yeah, I can't hear anything. So this led to me creating a strategy where I would switch between the left hallway and the right hallway, constantly scaring them off with my flashlight. And if I do this fast enough, they won't actually have enough time to make it to my door, meaning we don't even have to worry about not being able to hear. But, you know, that's for this night. A lot of the information in this video came from Reddit posts, as well as this video made by It's Taken. If you haven't seen this video and you're interested in this kind of stuff, definitely go check that out. And that's basically it for night 1. It only took 1 attempt because literally nothing happened. So here's just me making random noises. Just keep switching back and forth. I don't know when the kids are unhappy. That's the problem. I'm trying to catch them in the hallway. Because if I catch them in the hallway, then... I don't know. The first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through. Whoa, you mother cringe boy. But now I can't just... Hey. Boom. Easy. Look at that. We've already completed the first night. Alright, so just before I start night 2, I do want to say there is a mini game that you can play called Fun with Plush Trap that you get to play after every single night. If you successfully stop Plush Trap right before he kills you, then you'll get to skip 2 hours in the next night. But if you die during that attempt, then you don't get to skip the 2 hours anymore. So just to keep the rules completely fair, I decided to completely ban this minigame at all. So I'm not going to be using it this night or the next night or any other nights in this video. And with that out of the way, we can finally talk about night 2, and guess what? It's horrible. Literally every single animatronic's AI value takes a massive jump, including the pain in the ass I'm talking about this night, Nightmare Foxy. In this game, Foxy moves around exactly like Bonnie and Chica, but instead of being restricted to either the left or right hallway, he can just go wherever he wants. He also borrows the flashlight mechanic from Bonnie and Chica, so if he's in the middle position of either hallway and we use our flashlight, then we'll scare him off, forcing him back to the upper section of the hallway. All those features are the exact same, but the one thing Foxy does differently is he will never go to our door. Instead, he waits at the middle position of each hallway, waiting for us to go up to one of the doors. But if we happen to check the opposite door from where he is, so if he's in the left hallway and we check the right door, then he will now be in our room. This is just absolutely ideal. Not only was I born without hearing, but now there's 2 furries in my room trying to eat me. Once he's made it to our closet, he now acts more like Five Nights at Freddy's 1 Foxy. Now instead of moving around with his movement opportunities, he'll just progress to a different stage. In total, there's 4 different stages that he could be in. One is where he's a plushie, the second one is where he's standing up, the third one is where he's crouched, and the fourth one is where he's trying to lick us. And again, he progresses through these stages whenever he has successful movement opportunities, and if he stays too long at stage 4, then, you know, what happens. Once he's in the closet, there is no way to make him leave, so how are we gonna deal with him? We're gonna slam the door in his face. When you close the door, it'll decrease what stage he's in, and the longer you hold the door closed, the farther he will go back. And that's basically it for Foxy. He doesn't sound that bad, right? He's just an extra step. And that's exactly the problem. He's an extra step. So our previous strategy of just switching back and forth between doors doesn't work, because if we get extremely unlucky and choose the wrong door while he's in the middle position, then he's gonna be in our closet, and now we have to worry about him as well. So this led to me creating a new strategy. It's called Have Future Me Deal With It. I didn't make a strategy. Here's a bunch of the attempts. By the way, big jump scare warning, so lower your volume if you want to. How the fuck? Freddy, where do you get so many? Oh, what? I closed the door on him, bro. Never mind. Boom. Done. Go back over here. Check the bed. Do we think we closed the door on this one? Okay, it's gotta be Chica, right? Joe's mama. Oh, Joe's mom. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes! Yes! Let's go! 12 attempts for that stupid... Oh my god. For some reason, literally every single challenge I do in these games, night 3 is always when I get humbled. The first 2 nights are somewhat easy, and I'm thinking this challenge isn't gonna be terrible. It's bad. In this night, we have 3 animatronics that have an AI value of double digits, and to make matters worse, I still don't have a strategy because my strategy in night 2 was literally nothing. But apart from this night, being absolutely painful, we still have one more animatronic to talk about, and that's of course Nightmare Freddy. As you may have noticed by now, I can go to both doors as well as the closet, but I can also look at my bed behind me. And you may have also noticed that sometimes on my bed, there are small, very violent toddlers on there. That sounded weird. Freddy works completely different from every other animatronic here. He has a meter that runs from 0 to 80, and every 4 seconds, he adds his AI value to that meter. So, for example, like you saw in the intro card, Freddy's AI value right now is at 3, meaning every 4 seconds, that counter is gonna go up by 3, and that's gonna continue for the rest of the night. When the meter reaches 10, he's gonna spawn one of those toddlers, which are known as Freddles, on our bed. And this continues to happen when the meter reaches 20 and 30, making a max of 3 Freddles on the bed at one time. These Freddles literally do nothing. All they do is sit on our bed and make this noise. Once those 3 Freddles have spawned on our bed, we have a bit of downtime on the meter, but after the meter reaches 60 without us doing anything, we're basically like 100% dead. So how exactly are we not gonna die? Because that's kind of important. When you turn around to look at your bed, you can use your flashlight in the same way as using the closet doors on Foxy. Holding our flashlight on the bed decreases our meter pretty fast, so all we have to do is routinely check the bed and use our flashlight. So there we go. Now we know how to deal with every single animatronic in this game. So this challenge is gonna be easy, right? Ha. No, it's not. Motherfucker. What? Bro. They coming to kill me? Okay. It's gotta be you. 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 If it's not you, then I'm Mark Cuban. It's not him. It's not him. He's not Mark Cuban. He's not Mark Cuban. He's not Mark Cuban. I'm dead. It was Mark Cuban! You motherfucker! I know it's not Mark Cuban. I know it is. I know it's not. It can't be. It can't be. It can't be him. I know it's not him. He trusts me. He knows me. He's my boy. You wouldn't do that to me. Mark, you Yes! Yes! Oh my god, it worked! Holy f***! I hate it! Oh my god, I did it! Let's go, dude! 36 attempts in total. Towards the end of these attempts, I kind of had a strategy going that you can see on screen, but I'm not going to talk about it till we're done yelling at kids. I'm hyped! I'm hyped! Little girl, I don't give a... Did you see that? Do you see how big my arms are? Do you see how one is bigger than the other? Don't ask why. Pause. They're tears of joy. Why does Freddy look so...
The animatronic characters here do get...
Chonk. Why are you T-posed? Why do you got that goofy ass haircut? Why do you look like a bitch? Night 4 is where every single animatronic goes completely insane, so now we actually need a strategy. This strategy relies on some really weird quirks with the animatronics AI that I didn't mention previously. To start off this night, we're going to be using our original strategy that we used way back in night 1. We're going to continuously switch between the left and right door, flashing our flashlight to get rid of Bonnie and Chica. But if you remember, this strategy will not work for the entire night because we have to check on Freddy as well. During this night, Freddy has an AI value of 4, meaning every 4 seconds he adds 4 to the meter. We have about 56 seconds of downtime where we don't have to check Freddy, which is basically the same amount of time from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. So to start off this strategy, we're going to continuously switch between doors until it hits 1 a.m. or until Foxy gets into our closet. Once either of these things happen, we're going to start using our new strategy. This strategy involves walking up to the door and closing it 2 times consecutively and then holding it closed for around 5 seconds. This is to make use of Bonnie and Chica's anti-cheat function. Basically, Bonnie and Chica are programmed to instantly teleport to your door if you close it without them being at their door position. This feature was put into the game to make sure players couldn't just run up to the door and instantly close it if there was no breathing. But instead of this being a really bad thing for us, it's actually really good. When we run up to the door and do those 2 consecutive closes, wherever Bonnie and Chica are in the map, this will instantly force them to our door. Knowing this, I'll do the 3rd and final close, holding it for around 5 seconds, which pushes them back to the upper part of the hallway. So now, instead of listening for breathing, I know they're going to be at the door every single time, which means we've basically just gotten rid of the audio feature entirely. The problem is, this strategy is nowhere near perfect. If I mistime it and force them to the door later than I mean to, they're now at the door position waiting to kill us, and I don't even know that they're there, so if I don't deal with it after 20 seconds, we're dead. But to further increase our odds and make this strategy even better, we're gonna break the AI a little bit more. Like I just said, if Bonnie and Chica sit at the door position for more than 20 seconds, then they're gonna kill us. But during those 20 seconds, if we turn around to check the bed, we're also gonna die. Knowing this, I would go from the right door to the left door to the bed, so I minimized any chance I had of actually getting jump scared by turning around to the bed. Because, for example, if Bonnie's at his door and we go to check the right door, the bed, and the closet, that is at least 20 seconds of downtime of him being at the door, which means we're dead. All of this combines to create the almost perfect Chicken Ninja no audio strategy. Now it's time to see if it actually works. Oh my god. Bro, the strat. Bro, the strat. Oh my god! Foxy! Oh. What? Bro, why? Oh my god, bro. What the fuck? I wasn't expecting that to happen. Bro, oh my god. Oh my god, bro. Because if we die, if we get caught lacking on the doors, then we die. So never get caught lacking on the doors. See? Never get caught lacking on the doors. Never get caught lacking on the doors. And if you get caught lacking on the doors, you might as well just shit your pants. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm being honest. Get back, get back, get back. Oh. Oh my god, that was close. Oh, baby! Holy shit! Let's go! The strat, bro! The strat! It works, dude! Let's go! Come on, man! Your boy's a genius! He's a genius! He's a goddamn genius! Let's go, dude! Oh my god, man! Oh my god. Let's go. I do not care about this kid's PTSD, bro. There we go. We are already on night 5. This is gonna be so easy. What the fuck? Yeah. There's more of them. In this night, we get introduced to a new animatronic known as Nightmare Fredbear. He's the only animatronic present in this night, but he is annoying enough that we don't need any more. Nightmare Fredbear literally has the AI of every single animatronic in this game combined. He starts off the night in the upper hallway and will either go down the left hallway or the right hallway like Bonnie and Chica. The difference here is, instead of having a movement opportunity every 5 seconds like those guys, he has one every 3 seconds. Once he reaches the middle position of the hallway, we can now see him with our flashlight. The problem is, we cannot scare him away. If we keep our flashlight on him for too long, he will jump scare us from the middle position. He rarely ever moves up to the actual door position to kill us, and he'll only do that if we fail to close the door for long enough. If we see him at the middle position and close our door fast enough, then it will act the exact same way as if we were to close the door with Bonnie and Chica at the door position. This will teleport him back to the upper section of the opposite hallway. But that's not the bad part. We can easily just see him down the hallway by quickly flashing our flashlight and then closing our door for around 5 seconds. The problem is when he starts to use Freddy's and Foxy's mechanics. Much like Foxy, if he's at the middle position in a hallway and we run to the opposite door, then he will now be in our room. The problem with this is he doesn't just go into the closet. He can also go onto the bed behind us, and to make it even worse, the only way to know he's doing this is by hearing a sound effect. That sound effect, you know, if we could hear it, would tell us that he's in our room. If he appears on the bed in our room, we can just hold our flashlight on him till he disappears. And if he's in our closet, then we're just gonna shut the closet doors for around 5 seconds. But what's the problem with that? If you check both doors and he's not there, then he's somewhere in your room, right? Yeah, no. What we do have to do is we have to literally never make a mistake, ever. Because unlike Bonnie and Chica, who wait 20 seconds to kill us, Nightmare Fredbear will only wait 15 seconds. Not to mention that he could also just be a complete nerd and switch positions at the upper part of the hallway so I can never see him. Ah, so what's the strategy here? Nothing. Literally nothing. I have no strategy. Oh, no, go back to the door! No! Oh. I was gonna check the closet, bro. Bro, he's fucking with me. How about you give it a little bit? What the fuck? Hola, ¿cómo estás? What the fuck is he at, bro? No, I held that shit too long. Why did I hold it? No, what? Fuck, where the fuck is he? Where is he? Oh. Yes! Ah, that took way longer than I thought it was gonna take. I thought it was gonna be easy. All right, so this is the point of the video where you're expecting me to make a joke. I think you all know what the joke is, but I'm not gonna make it. Trust me, I won't. I promise. I'm not gonna do it.
Was that the bite of 87?
I'm sorry, I had to. But if you look at that intro card, it probably looked kind of weird. And that's because Night 6 is actually split up into 2 different parts. Part 1 is from 12 to 4 AM, and we're dealing with the original 4 animatronics, but this time they're just way more difficult. This part of the night is basically just a beefed up version of Night 4, with Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy's max AI value for that night being their constant AI value for this night, as well as Freddy just being slightly more annoying. During this part, I would use the same no audio strategy that we used in both Night 4 and Night 3, but I did have to change a bit of the original strategy because now I can't switch between the doors with my flashlight at the beginning of the night. The animatronics just move so fast that I could check the left door, but the time it takes me to check the right door and make it back to the left door, I could already get jump scared. And that's basically it for this part of the night. Other than the weird one-off jump scares I would get when the strategy accidentally messed up, this strategy still worked really well. But like I said, this night has multiple parts, and once we passed 4 AM, we made it to part 2, which is of course our friend Nightmare Fredbear. If last night wasn't painful enough, hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and in today's video that's right, it's the spooky scary month of Halloween, also known as March. I can't see any better time to be playing Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's where I wanna be.
That's right, the game that's known for fun and quirky things like murdering 5 kids in a goddamn Chuck E. Cheese costume, and also giving Let's Players whiplash the moment they hear a single noise. But you know me, I'm what's known in the medical industry as clinically insane, so I'm gonna get rid of one of the 3 things that I can do in this entire game. Today, we are going to be seeing if it's possible to beat Five Nights at Freddy's 1 without using the lights at all. That's right, the thing that the wiki categorizes as a vital in-game mechanic. Great. Basically, the lights are used to tell if there's actually an animatronic at your door. There's a blind spot on the 2 cameras closest to your office, which means that you can't actually see if they're at your door unless you use the lights. And we're not going to. But anyways, I'll explain more as the video goes on, so let's head into night 1. Real quickly before I start night 1, I just want to explain the gameplay of Five Nights at Freddy's for anybody who hasn't played it before. If you've played it before, or you've seen somebody else play it, then you probably don't need to watch this part, so you can skip to the timestamp on screen. Alright, so in this game, you play as a night guard for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Your task is to protect yourself from these killer animatronics from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., basically 8 minutes and 55 seconds in real time. The 4 animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, move towards their office in specific paths. Bonnie goes on the left side, Freddy and Chica go on the right side, and Foxy is kind of specific. Don't worry, I talk about these later in the video. You basically have 3 things to protect yourself. You have a camera system where you can watch all the animatronics to make sure you know where they are. You have doors which can protect you from being jump scared if an animatronic actually makes it to your office. And you have lights, which don't matter because we're not using them. You want to use these 3 things as sparingly as possible because they use power and you only have a specific amount of power. Once you run out, you're basically dead. Does that make sense? Pretty much just don't get bit by Chuck E. Cheese. The door protects you from Chuck E. Cheese. Don't let yourself run out of power because then you can't use the door. That's basically it. Let's go to night 1. Alright, basically night 1 is the tutorial level of this game, so it's really easy, so I don't have much to say about it. So I thought now would probably be the best time to explain how this game actually works. I pretty much have no idea what I'm actually talking about, so if you're really interested in how this actually works, I'd recommend watching TechRule's video about this exact same thing. To start off the night, every single animatronic gets a certain difficulty number. This is the same system that gets used during the custom night mode. For every night, I'm going to be showing the animatronic's difficulty during the intro cards. So you probably know this already, but the max difficulty an animatronic can have is 20. Throughout the night, there's certain times where an animatronic gets the chance to move, and this is where your difficulty number comes in. Basically, whenever there's a chance for an animatronic to move, the game will randomly generate a number between 1 and 20. The game then compares your randomly generated number to your difficulty number. If your difficulty number is greater than or equal to the randomly generated number, then the animatronic will move. This is what makes the 420 difficulty so hard, because every single time there's a chance for an animatronic to move, your number will always be greater than or equal to 20 because the max setting is 20. For example, during night 2, Bonnie's difficulty is set to 3, which means that every single time there's a chance for him to move, a random number gets generated, and if that number is something like the number 2, 3 is greater than the number 2, which means he's gonna move. But if the number is something like 17, 3 is not greater than 17, which means he's gonna stay where he is. This system kinda only works for Bonnie and Chica. Freddy and Foxy work a little bit differently, but I'm gonna talk about those in a bit. That's pretty much as basic as I can explain it, so if you didn't understand, good luck, because we're actually moving on to the night. If you saw in the intro card, the animatronic's difficulty actually changed throughout the night. So to begin this night, every single animatronic has a 0 difficulty, meaning from 12 to 2 a.m., they literally cannot move. Once it hits 2 a.m., Bonnie's difficulty is going to go up to a 1, and everybody else will stay at a 0. So he's the only one that can move, but it's really rare for him to actually move, especially at 2 a.m. When it hits 3 a.m., we actually have to start paying attention. Bonnie's difficulty is going to go up to a 3, Chica's is going to go up to 1, and Foxy's is going to go up to 1. An attack from Foxy is really rare during this night, so we don't have to worry about him as much as Bonnie. At 4 a.m., the AI difficulty changes for the final time during this night. Bonnie stays at a 3, and Chica and Foxy go up by 1. Like I said earlier, Foxy and Chica don't really matter during this night. They don't have a high enough AI level to do anything, and they also get engaged way too late in the night for them to actually move anywhere close to me. So all we have to do is check the left hallway for Bonnie on the off chance that he actually gets close enough to kill us, and obviously that doesn't happen, and we're done with night 1. Night 2 is where this challenge gets slightly serious. It's also where Phone Guy says this.
I also want to emphasize the importance of using your door lights.
I don't think you understand what we're doing here, Mr. Phone Man. During the beginning of this night, so at 12 a.m., every single animatronic other than Freddy can already move. This is also the night where we're going to be talking about Foxy. His rules work a little bit different from everybody else's, and since this is basically the Foxy tutorial night, it's probably the best chance I have to talk about him. Foxy does use the same system of movement as Bonnie and Chica, with the random numbers comparing them to the difficulty number. Although he doesn't actually move, he just changes his stages. There's stage 1 where the curtains are closed, stage 2 where he's peeking his head out, stage 3 where he's pretty much all the way out of the curtains, and then stage 4 is where he's actually attacking. So whenever he has a successful movement chance, he just progresses to a later phase until he actually attacks. Although if you're on the camera, he will fail every single movement chance, regardless of what random number it is and regardless of what difficulty you have him set to, he will always fail. Once you've closed your camera, there's a random amount of time between 0.83 seconds and 16.67 seconds where he won't be able to move. But after that, he goes back to normal. Like I said, once he's reached phase 4, he's gonna attack, and he can either attack after you check the West Hall camera or after 25 seconds have passed. If you block his attack with the door, for the first attack, he's gonna draw 1 power. For the second attack, he's gonna draw 6, and for third and beyond, he's gonna draw 11. Now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, that's cool, but how does this relate to no lights? This is because I'm using my cameras way more. In a regular playthrough, you don't even have to check the cameras for Bonnie and Chica. All you have to do is use the lights, and since we can't, we have to constantly know where they are so we can close the door at the right time so that we don't use too much power and we also don't die. Which means not only are we spending more power checking Bonnie and Chica, but we're also spending less time checking Foxy, which can either get us killed or waste more power. I have more complaining to do about these animatronics, but I'm gonna do that later because I've already been talking for a really long time. Just on night 2, because we had bad RNG, we used almost all of our power on night 2. I didn't have to implement any fancy strategies for night 2, I just had to make sure I knew where every single animatronic was at all times. And other than that, it's just a lot of luck, waiting, and hoping that we don't use too much power, and we get it done. Alright, so originally for night 3, I was going to start talking about Freddy and how his AI actually works. Although I didn't think it was actually cool enough to talk about fully, it's basically just a combination of all movement styles. He follows the same path as Chica, and he'll actually move from camera to camera, but if you're looking at the camera he's on, then he won't actually move and he'll be paused. There's a lot of other specific things that he does that are completely different from anything else, but I really don't want to talk about them, so I'm not going to. Since this is the night that the challenges actually get hard, I'm going to talk about my specific strategies for this challenge. This challenge and the strategy I used is heavily reliant on the camera system. I wanted to make sure I was spending enough time looking at both Freddy and Foxy, and I was also looking at both of my hallways to see if Bonnie and Chica were going to attack. Freddy and Foxy are obviously a danger, but since I'm always in the cameras, we don't have to worry about them as much in these earlier nights. The real problem is Bonnie and Chica. The first one I want to talk about is Chica, because specifically on this night, for some reason, she was absolutely relentless. When she's on the show stage, dining area, and restroom camera, she doesn't pose much of a threat. When she goes into the kitchen, the camera's disabled, but you can tell that she's in there because it plays this noise. This noise can be heard even with the camera down, so that was a great way of tracking her. When she's in the east hallway, it doesn't really matter. We just need to know that she's there. The problem becomes once she gets to the corner. Once she's in the corner, we want to listen for this sound effect. When that sound effect plays, that means an animatronic has moved. So I always want to check that camera, and if she's not there, she's either at my door or she's backed up back into the east hallway. And since I'm not using my lights, there's no way to tell if she's actually at my door, and there's also no change in sound effect between at my door and back in the hallway, so I always have to check where she actually moved. If she is at the door and I block her with the door, then she'll either retreat back into the hallway or go all the way back to the dining area. For this night and any nights going forward, this was the strategy that I used to keep track of Chica. The next one I want to talk about is Bonnie. When Bonnie's at the show stage, backstage, or dining area camera, we again don't have to worry about him. The problem again becomes once he reaches the west hallway camera. Once he reaches the west hallway camera, he can either move up to the corner and then he can move to my door, or he can move into the supply closet. The supply closet would seem like it would be a really good thing because he's not in the hallway to come attack me, but he can actually jump directly from the supply closet to my door. Not even in the corner. He can jump directly from the supply closet to his attack instantly. This is why the sound effects are so important. Again, I'm going to be listening for this sound. If I hear that sound effect, I check all three of those cameras unless I knew where he was before. If he was in the corner or if he was in the supply closet, once that noise plays, he's most likely at my door. If Bonnie gets blocked by the door, unlike Chica, he won't go back into the hallway, he'll go directly to the dining area every time. Using that strategy to keep those two from killing us works perfectly because, like I said, we spend a lot of time in the camera, which means Freddy and Foxy have a less chance to actually kill us. So overall, night 3 is not horrible, but trust me, it gets, like, way worse. Alright, night 4 is just where everything goes horribly wrong. Every single animatronic is extremely aggressive, and now our biggest problem is our power. This is for two reasons. Reason number one is because I'm pretty much always using the cameras, which means I'm constantly using 2 bars of power, which means that I'm draining about 18% power per hour. If I'm using the cameras while one door is closed, that means I'm using 3 bars, which is about 27%. And if I have both doors closed while checking the cameras, that's 36% per hour. So you can see why power is such an important thing in this run. And of course, reason number 2, they just don't leave my door. Like I said during night 1, if we just get really bad RNG, then an animatronic might not move. Since the position at my door counts as an actual moving position, if they just fail their movement attempts for a really long time, then they just stay at my door and drain my power forever. I had a moment like this happen during night 2. Chica stayed at my door for over 3 minutes straight, meaning she failed over 36 different movement attempts. Here's some slowed down footage of a night 4 attempt. I was on 5 AM and I had 15% left, so I was doing really good. I heard a footstep noise and I instantly checked the supply closet to see if Bonnie moved. He was still there, but Chica had moved back into the hallway. After this, I closed my camera, but you can see how fast this happens. Right when I open back up my camera, a footstep noise plays. After I heard this noise, I checked 3 of the cameras that Bonnie could be at. Once I figured out that he wasn't there, I closed my camera and I was instantly jump scared. Here's how fast this whole thing was in real time. Okay, you're there. Where is Bonnie? You're in the closet. Bonnie's back. No. No, man! This challenge is just about knowing where every single animatronic is at all times. One final thing I want to talk about is what I did at the end of this night. Towards the end of the level, I saw that it was 5 AM, but I realized that I had such little power. So what I ended up doing was I ended up stalling. I didn't touch any cameras, no doors, no nothing, because that meant nothing could jump scare me unless Foxy started running at me. So I basically just want to hope Foxy doesn't kill me, and then we get a power outage. Once your power goes out, there's 3 different stages of timers that happens. And also, any animatronic movement is completely canceled once we have a power outage. Stage number 1 is where Freddy is not at your door. Every 5 seconds, there's a 20% chance for him to appear, up to a max of 20 seconds. Once he does appear, we enter stage 2, which has the same timer as stage 1. Every 5 seconds, there's a 20% chance that he continues to play his music, and this can go on for a max of 20 seconds. Once you're done with stage 2, the lights are going to turn off, and now you're in stage 3. Stage 3 has a different timer from the first 2 stages. Every 2 seconds, there's a 20% chance that you continue in this stage up until you die. We had enough time before the power outage that the clock turned over to 6 a.m. right as Freddy went into stage 2. And we're done with night 4, time to go to the final night. During night 5, everything's bad. There is no animatronic that is easy to deal with during this night. All of them move a ton, and they all have their own chances to get us killed. This night was so bad that pretty much every single attempt I had would end up in a power outage, which meant it was all up to RNG. Every single thing I've talked about in this video, we used during this night, and I'm basically just gonna do like a play-by-play and talk about what happened during this night. This night took multiple hours to actually complete, and that's mainly because the first time I beat it, there was no video. Bro, please, please, bro, please. Yes! Yes! Let's go! Come on, man! Let's go! Let's go! He didn't even show up. Wait. No. It wasn't capturing the game. No! Yep. So guess what? I got to do it all over again. Yay!
What you doing there, Bill? Satellite dish trouble?
No, I'm just up here to kill myself.
To start off the night, I usually just sit there and do nothing because I know it's going to take them a long time to actually get to my office. The problem isn't Chica or Bonnie because they have to get all the way over to my office. The problem is Foxy and Freddy. My goal is to check Freddy and Foxy as much as possible, but do it in the least amount of time as possible. So I do this kind of flick thing where I go between both cameras and make sure I'm checking both of them. After a while, I see that Bonnie's already at my door, which means his next movement, he's gonna attack me. So I go right over to the door button to make sure if he does move, I can hit the door button immediately. During this night, I got really lucky because Bonnie stayed at my door for about 2 minutes without attacking. So I just kept switching between the Foxy and Freddy camera to make sure they didn't move. Later, I heard some footsteps and it was actually Bonnie moving, so I checked all 3 of those cameras to make sure he wasn't doing anything stupid, and he wasn't, which meant he was at my door. After this, I kind of had a mini heart attack because I couldn't find anyone, so I just kept closing doors. I want to talk about this part specifically because it shows the difficulty of this challenge. I know that both Chica and Bonnie are at my door, so any footstep could mean that both of them or just one of them are at my door. So when I hear footsteps, it could be either of them moving. In this case, it was just Chica. So I keep that door down, but I keep my mouse on the left side of my screen. After this, I hear another set of footsteps, which could either be Bonnie at my door or Chica leaving. This time it was Chica leaving the door. This meant that I could lift up Chica's door, but then I heard more footsteps, which meant I had to close Bonnie's door to make sure he didn't move, but he just actually moved into the supply closet. And then a while after this, I got attacked by Foxy. So yeah, it's extremely, extremely hectic. Once it gets later in the night, I need to make sure I'm not looking at my camera as often. As you can see, it's almost 4 a.m. and I'm only around 30%. This is why it was so important to keep Freddy on the show stage, because if he was successful with all his movements, it would still take a really long time for him to actually get to our office. The rest of this night was pretty much just protecting myself from Bonnie and Chica. It hit 5 a.m. when I was around 10%, and then once I got down to 5, I decided to just not touch anything. I was trying to run the clock as long as possible, and I knew Foxy was still in stage 1, so nothing else could kill me other than Bonnie and Chica, and since I'm not lifting up my camera, I can't technically die. And of course, we got a power outage. We need a long song here, baby. Yes. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love Freddy. Just an absolute beautiful bear. Ladies and gentlemen, there we go. But if you know anything about this game, that's not the end. That's nowhere near the end. Alright, if you thought the last night was bad, I don't even know. Bonnie's max difficulty goes up by 5 compared to night 5. Chica's max difficulty also goes up by 5, and Foxy and Freddy's goes up by 1. So, night 6 is almost 2 times as difficult as night 5, and we ran out of power on night 5, so this night sucks. Just to show how stupid this night actually is, look at this clip. Bonnie shows up on the 1B camera, and then a few seconds later, I die to him. Right here, Bonnie's already in a position where a single movement and he's already able to kill me. The footstep noise just played, which meant I should have closed that door, but since I heard Freddy's laugh, I didn't think that they would have been perfectly in sync because they're almost never. So I just assumed that it was Freddy and I made the wrong choice. Well, I was about to use it, bro. He didn't make a noise. Yeah, this night sucks. If you want even more proof, just look at this. Keep in mind that this is all from one single attempt. Bro, am I gonna be able to see the cameras? Like, alright, I'm having a great time. Can I, like, ever see the cameras? Bro, I can't see the cameras. So yeah, my cameras got disabled 6 different times in one night. Basically, this is just to switch what picture you're actually seeing, so it doesn't abruptly switch to a camera and there's an animatronic there. So whenever an animatronic moves to your camera like that, it's gonna do that from time to time, but it's not usually this frequent. And all of that stupid camera business all led up to this happening. So yeah, this whole night is just completely stupid. I'd talk more about my strategy, but it didn't change from night 5. I still have the same strategy. It's just I have to be absolutely perfect in every single way. And even if I was perfect, it still has the chance to be absolutely ruined by Freddy RNG. So what do we do now? Now it's just time to try until finally you get an attempt that actually works. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the single most stressful 40 seconds of my entire life. Freddy, I will literally, like, give you so many high fives, my guy. Like, I don't even care. Like, I will... Bro. Bro, please. Please, bro. Please. 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 Just please, bro. Fuck. 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 Oh! Ah! Let's go! Let's go! No way! Freddy, I love you, bro! Bro, I literally love you, fam. Oh my god! Let's go! Ugh. And there we go. Before any nerds say anything about 420 difficulty, it's barely even possible with lights, so it's obviously going to be impossible without. But to answer the question, can you beat FNAF 1 without using the lights? The answer is yes. I had a great time making this video, both playing the game and doing the research and editing for this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it as well. If you have any other challenges that you want to see me do, maybe another FNAF challenge, or maybe a different game completely, let me know in the comments below. But as always, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye. That's right, it's the spooky scare at my door counts as an actual moving position. If they just fail their movement attempts for a really long time, then they just stay at my door and drain my power forever. I had a moment like this happen during night 2. Chica stayed at my door for over 3 minutes straight, meaning she failed over 36 different movement attempts. Here's some slowed down footage of a night 4 attempt. I was on 5 AM and I had 15% left, so I was doing really good. I heard a footstep noise and I instantly checked the supply closet to see if Bonnie moved. He was still there, but Chica had moved back into the hallway. After this, I closed my camera, but you can see how fast this happens. Right when I open back up my camera, a footstep noise plays. After I heard this noise, I checked 3 of the cameras that Bonnie could be at. Once I figured out that he wasn't there, I closed my camera and I was instantly jump scared. Here's how fast this whole thing was in real time. Okay, you're there. Where is Bonnie? You're in the closet. Bonnie's back. No. No, man! This challenge is just about knowing where every single animatronic is at all times. One final thing I want to talk about is what I did at the end of this night. Towards the end of the level, I saw that it was 5 AM, but I realized that I had such little power. So what I ended up doing was I ended up stalling. I didn't touch any cameras, no doors, no nothing, because that meant nothing could jump scare me unless Foxy started running at me. So I basically just want to hope Foxy doesn't kill me, and then we get a power outage. Once your power goes out, there's 3 different stages of timers that happens. And also, any animatronic movement is completely canceled once we have a power outage. Stage number 1 is where Freddy is not at your door. Every 5 seconds, there's a 20% chance for him to appear, up to a max of 20 seconds. Once he does appear, we enter stage 2, which has the same timer as stage 1. Every 5 seconds, there's a 20% chance that he continues to play his music, and this can go on for a max of 20 seconds. Once you're done with stage 2, the lights are going to turn off, and now you're in stage 3. Stage 3 has a different timer from the first 2 stages. Every 2 seconds, there's a 20% chance that you continue in this stage up until you die. We had enough time before the power outage that the clock turned over to 6 a.m. right as Freddy went into stage 2. And we're done with night 4, time to go to the final night. During night 5, everything's bad. There is no animatronic that is easy to deal with during this night. All of them move a ton, and they all have their own chances to get us killed. This night was so bad that pretty much every single attempt I had would end up in a power outage, which meant it was all up to RNG. Every single thing I've talked about in this video, we used during this night, and I'm basically just gonna do like a play-by-play and talk about what happened during this night. This night took multiple hours to actually complete, and that's mainly because the first time I beat it, there was no video. Bro, please, bro, please. Yes! Yes! Let's go! Come on, man! Let's go! Let's go! He didn't even show up. Wait. No. It wasn't capturing the game. No! Yep. So guess what? I got to do it all over again. Yay!
What you doing there, Bill? Satellite dish trouble?
No, I'm just up here to kill myself.
To start off the night, I usually just sit there and do nothing because I know it's going to take them a long time to actually get to my office. The problem isn't Chica or Bonnie because they have to get all the way over to my office. The problem is Foxy and Freddy. My goal is to check Freddy and Foxy as much as possible, but do it in the least amount of time as possible. So I do this kind of flick thing where I go between both cameras and make sure I'm checking both of them. After a while, I see that Bonnie's already at my door, which means his next movement, he's gonna attack me. So I go right over to the door button to make sure if he does move, I can hit the door button immediately. During this night, I got really lucky because Bonnie stayed at my door for about 2 minutes without attacking. So I just kept switching between the Foxy and Freddy camera to make sure they didn't move. Later, I heard some footsteps and it was actually Bonnie moving, so I checked all 3 of those cameras to make sure he wasn't doing anything stupid, and he wasn't, which meant he was at my door. After this, I kind of had a mini heart attack because I couldn't find anyone, so I just kept closing doors. I want to talk about this part specifically because it shows the difficulty of this challenge. I know that both Chica and Bonnie are at my door, so any footstep could mean that both of them or just one of them are at my door. So when I hear footsteps, it could be either of them moving. In this case, it was just Chica. So I keep that door down, but I keep my mouse on the left side of my screen. After this, I hear another set of footsteps, which could either be Bonnie at my door or Chica leaving. This time it was Chica leaving the door. This meant that I could lift up Chica's door, but then I heard more footsteps, which meant I had to close Bonnie's door to make sure he didn't move, but he just actually moved into the supply closet. And then a while after this, I got attacked by Foxy. So yeah, it's extremely, extremely hectic. Once it gets later in the night, I need to make sure I'm not looking at my camera as often. As you can see, it's almost 4 a.m. and I'm only around 30%. This is why it was so important to keep Freddy on the show stage, because if he was successful with all his movements, it would still take a really long time for him to actually get to our office. The rest of this night was pretty much just protecting myself from Bonnie and Chica. It hit 5 a.m. when I was around 10%, and then once I got down to 5, I decided to just not touch anything. I was trying to run the clock as long as possible, and I knew Foxy was still in stage 1, so nothing else could kill me other than Bonnie and Chica, and since I'm not lifting up my camera, I can't technically die. And of course, we got a power outage. We need a long song here, baby. Yes! Ah! Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love Freddy. Just an absolute beautiful bear. Ladies and gentlemen, there we go. But if you know anything about this game, that's not the end. That's nowhere near the end. Alright, if you thought the last night was bad, I don't even know. Bonnie's max difficulty goes up by 5 compared to night 5. Chica's max difficulty also goes up by 5, and Foxy and Freddy's goes up by 1. So, night 6 is almost 2 times as difficult as night 5, and we ran out of power on night 5, so this night sucks. Just to show how stupid this night actually is, look at this clip. Bonnie shows up on the 1B camera, and then a few seconds later, I die to him. Right here, Bonnie's already in a position where a single movement and he's already able to kill me. The footstep noise just played, which meant I should have closed that door, but since I heard Freddy's laugh, I didn't think that they would have been perfectly in sync because they're almost never. So I just assumed that it was Freddy and I made the wrong choice. Well, I was about to use it, bro. He didn't make a noise. Yeah, this night sucks. If you want even more proof, just look at this. Keep in mind that this is all from one single. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and in today's video okay.
The people listed, you have to do it or else.
Or else what? You're not gonna do anything.
Or else I will make a game theory on why you get absolutely no.
What are you even talking about? There's literally no point, like, what are you even doing?
I'll also make one on why you are a stupid dumb. This is because scientifically you.
Okay, I'll do it. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I escaped the insane asylum that they tried to put me in. And I'm back with a vengeance to kill some quirky animatronics without raising my electrical bill. That's right, we're of course beating Five Nights at Freddy's 2 without using the lights. Right now you're probably thinking to yourself, only a madman would attempt this challenge. And you're right. As you can guess, the rules for this challenge are pretty simple. We're gonna attempt to beat the entirety of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 without using any lights. What exactly counts as using a light? I'm not telling you. That's for later in the video. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the challenge. But before we can actually start, I'm gonna do a quick gameplay explanation. Again, if you've already played this game or you've seen somebody else play it, then you can skip to the timestamp on screen. But if you feel like being nice and, you know, maybe giving me some extra watch time, or you have absolutely no idea what's going on, listen up because I'm gonna explain it. So, believe it or not, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a lot like Five Nights at Freddy's 1. You play as a security guard for a pizzeria. Your job is to survive from 12 to 6 a.m., which is 6 minutes and 48 seconds in real time. And to do this, you need to protect yourself from the massive amount of animatronics trying to kill you. Much like the first game, you have a camera system which you can use to keep track of all the animatronics. But what you might have noticed is that this time, we do not have any doors. Luckily, we are given 2 things to help us survive, the first thing being a Freddy Fazbear mask. This mask can be used to fool the animatronics that get into our room into thinking that we are an animatronic, which will make them leave. And the next thing is a flashlight, which we're obviously going to talk about later. A lot of the animatronics have very specific ways to get rid of them, but I'm going to talk about those later when they're actually relevant. The one thing I'm going to talk about now, though, is the music box. The music box is used to keep one of the animatronics tame. That animatronic is the marionette. Over time, the meter on the music box will slowly go down, and your job is to rewind the music box remotely from your cameras. If you don't do this and the meter runs all the way out, then you die. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to be talking about anything else that's relevant in the next nights, so let's get into night 1. That's right, guess what we get to do in night 1? Absolutely nothing.
I even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should...
On night 1 from 12 to 2 a.m., no animatronic is allowed to move. And to make this even better, the meter on the music box won't actually go down. So there is literally nothing that we have to worry about. So what am I going to do during the downtime between 12 to 2? I'm going to tell you about today's sponsor. I'm kidding. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to quickly explain the AI of this game and how animatronics move. I'm not going to go as in-depth as I did in my first video, so if you want to see an in-depth analysis on the AI, go check out my first video that I did. Alright, to start off the night, every single animatronic is given an AI difficulty. This number ranges from 1 to 20 and will change throughout the night, but that doesn't really matter. Every few seconds, there's a chance for any of the animatronics to move. Once the movement opportunity has occurred, the game's going to choose a random number between 1 and 20. Then they'll compare this number to your AI difficulty, and if the AI difficulty is greater than or equal to the randomly generated number, then the animatronic is going to move. If not, they're going to stay where they are and they're going to contemplate their life choices. And that's as easy as I can explain it. During this night, there are 3 different animatronics that we have to worry about: Toy Freddy, Toy Chica, and Toy Bonnie. Usually during a regular playthrough, you can use all 3 different types of lights to track these animatronics. The first light you can use is your flashlight. You shine this light down the hallway in front of you to see any incoming animatronics. Almost every single animatronic will appear in the hallway, but only 2 will actually come through the hallway. Those
perks, and that's why you need to get to Hotum 7. Now, item number 5 on the checklist is going to be your Heart of the Mountain level. Now, I'll go over powder and how you need to distribute it later, but for now, I'm just going to focus on level specifically. So, if you're mining anything for mining spread, like ores or blocks, you need to get to at least Heart of the Mountain tier 7. If you're below Hotum 7, you can't make money from mining no matter what it is that you're mining, okay? I would say the least amount of powder that you need to mine for money, I would say, is 8 million mithril powder as well as 9 million gemstone powder. You need 8 million mithril powder because you need to max out mining speed and mining fortune. That requires almost 4 million powder. And then you need another 4 million for maxing out efficient miner, which gives you the gemstone powder. You need at least close to 8 million powder to max out fortunate mine man and speedy my man, and the rest of the powder is going to be spent on the specific type of block that you are mining. So if you're mining ores, you're going to max out old school. If you're mining blocks, you're going to max out blockhead. Either of these are going to cost you 900k to 1 million powder, so that's why you need 9 million powder. You need 8 mil for the universal perks, and then you need another 1 mil for block specific perks. As for mining gemstones, you're going to need a little bit more powder. I think I would say that you don't need a mining spread, obviously, because that doesn't affect gemstones. So you're going to need 4 million mithril powder to max out mining fortune and mining speed, and then you're going to need a lot more gemstone powder instead. So you're going to need 12 million gemstone powder to max out professional as well as gem lover. As well as speedy mine man and fortunate mine man, of course. Those are the universal perks. So if you have less than
to being Toy Freddy and Withered Freddy. The rest of them are going to go to the adjacent party rooms and go into one of the vents. If an animatronic is in one of these party rooms, you can open up your camera system and use the camera lights to see if they're actually in there. This is super useful because it allows you to actually see where the animatronics are. If you don't use this, then there's pretty much no use to the cameras because you can't see anything. The third and final light are the vent lights. These are used to see if an animatronic is actually ready to kill you. These are a lot like the door lights in FNAF 1. They tell you if an animatronic is ready to attack or not, and if they are, then you just put on your mask and then they'll leave. So in terms of what lights we're going to be using for night 1, none of them. Like I said, the only active animatronics in this night are Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, and Toy Chica. All of these animatronics can be dealt with by using the Freddy mask, so all I'm gonna do is switch between winding up the music box and putting on my Freddy mask, and that's pretty much it. There's a lot of things that I tried out specifically for this challenge, but they become more relevant in later nights, so I'm gonna talk about them then. And other than that, I don't have much to say about this night. It's really just me sitting in my mask until I have to wind up the music box, and that's it. Hey, did you see the intro card? Now we have 3 more animatronics to deal with. There's 2 really big changes in this challenge during this night, and the first one's pretty obvious. It's this piece of shit. If you didn't know already, Withered Foxy is the only animatronic in the entire game that can't be fooled by the mask. You wanna know how to get rid of him? The freaking flashlight! Yeah, my control key it's sad. How does Foxy work, you may be asking? I'm not 100% sure, but I think I know. It uses the exact same movement opportunity as the regular animatronics that I talked about in night 1. The only difference is that there's a counter that starts at 50 and slowly goes down to 0. If this number hits 0 and he has a successful movement opportunity, then you're dead. The way to combat this is by using your flashlight. Every single time you use your flashlight, the counter is reset to 50 and he can't kill you. So what does that mean for this challenge? Hello everybody, welcome back to Five Nights at Freddy's 2 without using the lights, but we use the flashlight. I'm your host, Chicken Ninja 42, and today we're going to be looking at angry comments from 6-year-olds because I use the flashlight. But all jokes aside, I use the flashlight. The only reason is because this challenge would be purely impossible without using the flashlight. But the flashlight was the only exception I was willing to make. I'm still not going to be using any camera lights or vent lights throughout this entire challenge. And if you think adding the ability to use the flashlight is going to make this challenge any bit easier, yeah, you're wrong. But now that I'm done rambling on about Foxy, it's about time we start talking about the vents themselves. In this night, we have 4 different vent animatronics: Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Balloon Boy, and Mangle. I'll be talking about each of these animatronics individually, starting with Toy Bonnie. To show you the movement patterns of every single animatronic, I got this very confusing map off Google. As you can hopefully see, Toy Bonnie goes from the show stage to the main hall, and then he can either go into Party Room 4 or 3. From there, he can go into Party Room 2, which is connected to our right vent. And obviously, this is the vent that he goes through. Once he enters the vent, we'll be able to see him on the camera. After another successful movement, he'll be in his kill stage. To avoid the jump scare, we need to put on our mask and wait for him to go across the screen. Once he disappears from our screen, we're safe and we can go back to normal. The next animatronic, Toy Chica, is literally the exact same as Bonnie, but on the left side. The only 2 differences being that you can see her character model down the hallway, and also once Toy Chica is in her kill stage, she won't do the same animation as Bonnie. Instead of moving across the screen, once you put your mask down for a while, then she'll just go back to the show stage. The way that I knew these 2 were in the vent without using my lights was through this noise. This noise plays whenever an animatronic enters a vent. So if I heard this noise at least 2 times, then that means there was 2 movement opportunities in the vent, which means they could be in their kill stage. So I would keep my mask down for a while, and if I saw Bonnie go across the screen, then I knew it was Bonnie. And if I heard the same noise play a while after I had my mask down, then it was most likely Chica returning to the show stage. The next animatronic I want to talk about is Mangle. Mangle has the exact same movement patterns as Toy Bonnie, the only differences being that instead of starting off in the show stage, Mangle starts off in Kids Cove. And also you can see Mangle down the hallway unlike Toy Bonnie. Mango will play the exact same vent noise when she goes into the vent, but once she's in her kill stage, she'll play this noise instead. This is how I knew she was in her kill stage. When I heard that noise, I would put on my mask and keep it on until the noise stopped and I heard a vent noise. Then I knew it was safe to take the mask off. Alright, now the final one we have to talk about is Balloon Boy. Balloon Boy doesn't even know how to spell the word movement. He starts off in the game room camera, and then once he has a successful movement opportunity, he jumps directly to our vent camera. We know he's in the vent once a vent noise plays and one of these 3 sound effects plays.
Hi. Hello.
And again, after we've heard 2 vent noises and 2 of those sound effects, he's most likely in his quote-unquote kill stage. He can't actually kill us, he just deactivates our flashlight and assists in our murder. And that's pretty much it. These vent animatronics are the biggest reason why we die in these nights. Since there's 4 different animatronics, all the vent clanging can get really confusing. The other 2 animatronics, Freddy and Foxy, we don't really have to worry about. Their AI levels are so low that we barely even see them throughout the night. And there we go, bada bing bada boom. That was only night 2, oh my god. Night 3 is where everything that can go bad does go bad. There's 2 more animatronics, a way more aggressive Foxy and Puppet, and there's also a lot more feces in my pants. In this night, we of course have to talk about the withered animatronics. We were introduced to withered Foxy last night, but in this night, we're introduced to 3 more. Withered Freddy, withered Bonnie, and withered Chica. I'm not going to be explaining the movement patterns anymore because they're all really simple. They all start off in parts and service. Withered Freddy's gonna get into our room through the hallway, Withered Bonnie's gonna get in through the left vent, and Withered Chica's gonna get in through the right vent. Basically, Withered Freddy works the exact same as Toy Freddy, and Withered Chica and Withered Bonnie switch vents compared to Toy Chica and Toy Bonnie. That's how they get to our room to kill us, but we kinda don't want that, so how do we get rid of them? There's gotta be some super cool sound effect that plays only for the withered animatronics. No. Like I said, Withered Freddy works the exact same as Toy Freddy, so you can see him down the hallway and he'll slowly get closer until he actually enters the room to try and jump scare you. Once he's in the room, you obviously put on the mask, or you at least try to. Bro, what the f was that, bro? God damn it, bro! For anybody wondering what happened there, I was trying to put on the mask, but since I had just put down the camera, the mask button wasn't actually on the screen. So when I tried to flick it down, it wasn't there, and the button wouldn't load in because my mouse was already on the spot. And that's all Withered Freddy does. He's really easy because he's one of the only animatronics that we can actually see. Whenever we put our camera down, we just want to make sure we put our mask down as well. And if he spawns in our office, then we already have our mask on. And that's definitely not the case for the other 2. Withered Chica and Withered Bonnie are seriously one of the biggest problems in this challenge. Withered Chica and Withered Bonnie work the exact same as Toy Bonnie. Once they're in the vent and they have one more successful movement opportunity, they'll be in their kill phase. One more movement after that and they'll automatically be in our room. If our camera's up while they come into our room, the camera will automatically close and we'll be forced to put on our mask. If we don't put on the mask in time, well, you know. One thing I learned is that you can't actually take off your mask during this animation. Knowing this, whenever one of them came into my room, I would put on my mask and hold my mouse over top of the mask button. This meant that the game knew I wanted to take off my mask but wouldn't let me, so right when I'm able to, it takes it off for me. Now, explaining all of this, it sounds really easy, and it would be if it weren't for the one thing I mentioned earlier. Unlike Balloon Boy and Mangle, there's no specific sounds when these 2 enter my vent. That means that this one noise is used for when these 5 enter my vent, these 4 go into their attack phase, these 4 when they actually attack, and all vent animatronics when they leave. I feel like this one clip encapsulates this entire problem perfectly. Bro, there's so much noise, I don't even know what's happening anymore. In the span of 25 seconds, there were 4 different vent noises that played, and just to remind you, it could be this many noises. So to say that this night was extremely easy would be stupid, and if you say that, I'll slap you. But I don't want to make this seem like a very big deal because we have a lot more nights left. We're almost at the end of the week, but night 4 is not easy. If you notice from the intro card, last night the highest AI difficulty an animatronic had was 3, and now we have animatronics up to 7. And it's convenient because the one with the highest difficulty is our biggest problem. I'm of course talking about Withered Foxy. He may or may not have been the source of the problem during this night, maybe like a few times. I was literally about to bring it up. You literally saw me. I was literally about to flick down to bring it up and flash it. What? What am I supposed to do? I can't do anything. The problem is there's so many vent animatronics that I wanted to be in the mask as much as possible. And obviously when I'm wearing the mask, Withered Foxy is not a big fan of it. This night was looking like it was going to be a massive struggle, but then I found the secret. You. You better be gone if you... Okay, 20. Just to make sure this actually works, I tried it again. Wait, does that actually... No way. It's 20. And, you know, third time's the charm. Is he gonna be gone? It's 20. It's 20. That was it. 20 flashlight flashes and Foxy would just disappear. And that was one of our problems solved. We couldn't die to Foxy if he was just never there. And the other problem is pretty obvious. We have 5 vent animatronics in this night that pretty much make the exact same noise. Toy Bonnie has the lowest AI difficulty of all of them at a level 1. If we get lucky enough, then he literally won't show up throughout the entire night, and that's what we were hoping for. The next animatronic, Balloon Boy, who has a level of 3, is the bane of my existence. Since Withered Foxy has the highest AI difficulty we've seen so far, Balloon Boy deactivating my flashlight is literally the worst thing that could happen. Withered Chica and Withered Bonnie both have an AI difficulty of 4 towards the end of the night, but they're super easy to deal with as long as we put our mask down right when we close the camera. And that of course just leaves Mangle with an AI difficulty of 5. With such a high difficulty, you would expect her to be the biggest problem in this night, but she actually wasn't. This is because of what I mentioned earlier. Whenever she's going to attack, she plays a sound effect that is exclusive to only her. So whenever I heard that sound effect, again it's this one, I would just put my mask on and keep it on until I didn't hear that noise anymore, because that meant she left my vent. That's generally how I would get rid of all those animatronics, but sadly that's not how it's gonna work anymore. Yup, the AI's in double digits now. This is where it starts to get real. By now, I've explained everything that I actually wanted to, so during this night, I'm just gonna talk about everything that happened. Think of it as me almost commentating over the night, but also not. The footage you're watching right now is of the winning attempt. I had a lot of failed attempts, but I'm not gonna show those completely because there's no point. That vent noise you just heard was Balloon Boy. I was assuming that he was just leaving because I had my mask on for such a long time. Yep, that noise wasn't just Balloon Boy. Alright, now we're back to the actual attempt. To start off the night, I was not going to touch anything apart from winding up the music box until I heard this noise. This meant that something entered the hallway and it was presumably Withered Foxy, which meant I had to use the flashlight. During this first part, our biggest concern is Balloon Boy, because if you remember, his movement pattern is very, very short, meaning he can get to our office extremely fast. I lost quite a few 3 a.m., 4 a.m. runs just because of this stupid child. What? Here's that clip again. Balloon Boy was already in his attack phase, and I had my mask down for around 3.5 seconds, which I felt was long enough to have him go away, but obviously it wasn't. Here's another one for good measure. I don't know. That vent noise you just heard is again what I assumed to be Balloon Boy leaving. I had my mask down for a decent amount of time, and I thought it was enough for him to actually leave, but again, it wasn't. What? I see this face in my nightmares. When it hits 1 a.m., both Toy Bonnie and Balloon Boy's AI difficulty gets decreased, but all the withered animatronics are increased by a lot. This in turn makes the night more difficult, but it makes it less confusing. We have more aggressive and more difficult animatronics to deal with, but we don't have to guess on where vent animatronics are anymore. The only animatronics with high AI difficulties are Mangle, Withered Chica, and Withered Bonnie. Withered Chica and Withered Bonnie can easily be beaten by putting your mask down right when you put your camera down, and Mangle again has her own sound effect. Now don't get me wrong, those two animatronics are not gone. They're still here, they just have a smaller AI difficulty than the rest of the animatronics. When it hits 4 a.m., any strategy that I had, if you can even call them strategies, they're out the window. They don't exist. It literally just becomes opening my camera to wind up the music box, occasionally flashing the hallway, and any other time is spent with the mask on. I just don't know what's going on in the vents anymore. An animatronic could be in their attack phase, or they couldn't be. I have no idea. But whatever. Just for a bit of fun, I'll show you the final moments of this night. Oh, come on. Oh my god, that is painful. Oh my... all of that for $100 goddamn dollars. Perfect. We're done with this night, but the only problem is, if you know these games, we're not done. Throughout both no light challenges in the first game and this game, this night is by far the hardest thing I've ever done. If you saw on the intro card, over half of the animatronics in this night have a double-digit AI difficulty. There is one animatronic that I haven't talked about, and that's because he's basically irrelevant unless you're Matthew Patrick or you're doing the custom night. That animatronic is, of course, Withered Golden Freddy. The way his AI works is extremely confusing, and I don't really want to talk about it, but I'll try. Basically, the most simple way I can explain it, if you're not using your flashlight, he has a chance to appear in the hallway, and once you see him in the hallway, if you use your flashlight too much, he'll kill you. He can also appear in your office. Every 5 seconds, he creates a random number between 0 and 20, and again, if his AI difficulty is greater than that, then he's gonna appear. When you see him in your office, you have to put on your mask like everybody else, but you just have to do this really fast. And again, I'm pretty sure that's how he works, but I don't care, and hopefully you don't care, so let's get into the actual night. There are 3 problems with this night that I'm going to talk about each individually. The first obvious problem being Withered Foxy. He's an obvious problem because his difficulty is 15. Why are they doing this to me? And to make matters worse, our fancy 20 flashlight trick doesn't even work anymore. Most of the time, he just appears back in the hallway anyways. So instead, I created this new strategy where when he shows up, I would flash him around 10 times, and then every single time I flipped down my camera, I would flash him 2 more times. It's definitely not the best strategy, but it helped me not die, so I mean, I'll take it. Our next problem is the vent animatronics, specifically both Withered Chica and Withered Bonnie, and of course, Balloon Boy. Before we can talk about the vent animatronics, I want to talk about this really weird thing that happened. I was on my regular spree of being bad at this game and died 3 times in a row. The first time I died, I unlocked a secret minigame, which is just a really rare occurrence if you get killed. And this was pretty interesting. I walked around, saw some dead kids, and then I won. But it's what happened after this that was really interesting. The next time I died, I got another secret minigame. This one involved giving cake until some kids turned into Elmo and then one got killed. Now that's pretty crazy enough, I got back-to-back death minigames. But it's what happened after this that was even crazier. That's right, the third time I died, I got another secret minigame. This game involves giving gifts to dead children, and of course, I beat the high score and dabbed on all the dead kids. I have no idea what the odds are for getting these minigames 3 times in a row, but if you figure it out, leave a comment down below because I'd really like to see it. Alright, now we're back to complaining about vent animatronics. Whenever I put down my mask to avoid any of their attacks, my mask is down for around 5 seconds. During these 5 seconds, not only can Foxy still attack me, but also the music box still goes down. So if I get a string of bad luck where Withered Bonnie attacks, and then after I flip down my camera, Withered Chica attacks, this means that I pretty much can't wind up the music box or flash Foxy for around 10 seconds, which basically means I'm dead. And really, there's no good way to deal with this. I just tried my best to keep track of Foxy and wind up the music box when I could, and just hoped that I didn't get killed. But now we get to the problem that is specific to this challenge, Balloon Boy. This one child is the reason for me losing probably half my runs. He's extremely aggressive throughout this night with an AI difficulty of 9, but the biggest problem is his sound effects. When he enters my vent, he'll play a noise similar to this.
Hi.
And that's perfect. When he enters my vent and I hear that sound effect, then I know it's actually him in that vent. The problem becomes when he leaves my vent after failing his attack phase. If he fails an attack, instead of playing that same sound effect, he'll only play the vent sound effect. This is extremely bad because I have no way of telling if it was him failing his attack or if it was literally any other vent animatronic in the game moving around. So this led to a lot of guessing, which most of the time was very, very wrong. That noise you just heard is what I thought to be Balloon Boy leaving, and you'll soon find out it wasn't. What? I heard the noise. I thought he left, man. You are such a piece of I hate you. Okay, so it's... What the f? He did 3 last time, and this time he did 2. Bro, I had my mask down for so long! Yeah, he is not fun. The third and final problem that I want to talk about is the music box. The music box works with the last 2 problems to make this night absolutely terrible. I want to make sure that it's constantly wound up, but since it decreases by so much, and I have to balance this with flashing Foxy and keeping my mask on forever, it's really easy to get behind on one of these 3 things, and the problem is any of these can kill me. There were so many times that the music box almost ran out. The main strategy I had was winding it up in quarters. This worked most of the time, but if the meter was really far down, I would try and charge it to at least half. And that's all I have to say about this night. It's really just about keeping your mask on for as long as possible and hoping that the animatronics aren't absolutely horrible. And yeah, enjoy the single most stressful 30 seconds of my entire life. Oh my god. Oh, that was the worst. Oh my god. Oh my. My heart rate is about 100 bajillion. And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially completed Five Nights at Freddy's 2 without using the lights a single time. If you do want to see any of these nights in full, I'll do, but oh dude, I'm so excited to be playing FNAF World for the challenge and not Sister Location. There's no way I was doing that. Hey, dude, the fans really want you to do Sister Location.
Eggs Benedict.
Wait, what? Hold on. Are you me? Yeah, well, technically, you are a FNAF YouTuber now, right?
Bruh.
What the f? No, I made like a few videos on it. Anyways, I'm not doing the Sister Location challenge. No. I mean, you do you, but I heard if a YouTuber doesn't do a requested challenge, they get turned into a marketable plushie. Okay, I don't even know what you're talking about anymore, so the answer's still no. Leave me alone. Alright, suit yourself. I don't know what that guy's talking about. I'm fine. That's right, baby. I worked with U2s to create my very own Chicken Ninja 42 plushie. The U2s team and I put so much work into creating this plushie, and I think the design looks so cool, and hopefully you do too. So if you want to pick up one of these for yourself, you can head over to u2s.com or click the link in the description to go to their website. And remember, this is a limited release, meaning once it's gone from the website, it is gone forever and you will never be able to get it again. And also, this is probably going to be one of the only forms of merchandise I do, so if you want to pick up some Chicken Ninja 42 merch, now's your chance. This plushie was one of the reasons why this video took so long to come out, because I wanted it to be absolutely perfect so all of you at home could have some really cool merch. And with all that said, make sure to check out u2s.com and let's get straight into this challenge. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back, and today I will be completing the entirety of Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location, but I am completely blindfolded. The game that many people consider to have the hardest non-custom night level in the entire Five Nights at Freddy's series, and I'm going to be completing the entire thing without being able to see. Have you ever wanted to see someone's hopes and dreams crumble to pieces as they try and find a virtual elevator button for 30 minutes? Well, you're in the right place. So, as you can guess, the rules for this challenge are very simple. I must beat the entirety of Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location, but the entire time I'm blindfolded. And just so you know, I completed every night blindfolded. Each successful attempt will be posted in full on my second channel, Chicken Ninja 43. And that's basically it. So without further ado, let's get into single-handedly the hardest challenge I've ever attempted, Sister Location blindfolded. One other thing I do want to mention before we actually start this challenge is, much like every other challenge run I do, this video is going to be a mixture of both challenge footage and non-challenge footage. And the way you tell them apart is, if you can see my face cam in one of the four corners, then that's challenge footage. And if you can't, then it's not challenge footage. And that's it. We start off night one inside the elevator, and we are immediately confronted with our first problem. I can't see. Inside the elevator, there are three separate things that we are required to click. Hand unit's keypad, the bright red elevator button, and finally, the vent leading into the primary control module. So, how exactly are we gonna do any of this without being able to see? I'll give you one word: setups. Setups are used all throughout blindfolded runs, and they're basically just specific movements that you need to do to end up in your desired location so that you can actually beat the game blindfolded. The only problem here is I'm using a mouse, so there is a ton of human error, meaning I either look really cool and do it perfectly, or I look like an idiot and miss the button for 5 minutes. When we first spawn in the elevator, I want to not touch my mouse at all because this is the only time I know where my cursor is. And I'm just gonna wait here until I hear this voice line and sound play in the game.
Please enter your name as seen above the keypad.
And once I hear that, I'm just gonna move my mouse ever so slightly down while constantly clicking until I hear this happen.
It seems that you had some trouble with the keypad.
And with that, challenge over, we get Eggs Benedict. Let's go. All joking aside, I'm gonna leave my cursor there until hand unit literally tells us to hit the elevator button. And once we hear that, I'm gonna try my best to move directly right and press the button, although this takes a bit of practice. Usually, if I missed this, I would just reset the run, because it only takes around 1:10 seconds to get here, so it really doesn't matter. But once we hit the button, we hear the elevator doors open, and it's as simple as just moving my mouse diagonally down and left and clicking until we enter the vent. Great, now we're inside the vent, and it's as simple as just holding W until we make it into the primary control module. The only issue is I can't find my W key. Inside the primary control module, if you've played this game before, then you already know what we have to do. First, we have to check on Ballora by clicking on the left blue button, and then shocking the ever-loving shit out of her with the red button. When we initially spawn in this room, our mouse again relocates to the middle of the screen, so I would always try and click this button first try, and it would never work. So now it's time for another janky setup. The only setup that really worked for this button was moving my mouse directly into the bottom left corner and then trying to hit it diagonally. The corners of the screen are the only spots we can move to, so we know exactly where our mouse is, although the issue with this setup is the diagonal is really hard to pull off. Trust me, I know. Not to brag, but after doing this for way longer than I should have, I got kinda good at it. If we manage to actually hit the button, there's something extremely important that happens. Our mouse freezes. Our mouse will stop right over top of the button to play the animation, meaning hitting the red button is extremely easy. We just have to move our mouse down. So there we go, we're finished with this segment. No, we're not. We have to do the exact same thing on the right side. I hate this. Luckily, this isn't too bad because it's literally the exact same thing, but on the right side. So we move to the corner, move diagonally, hit the button, shock them, hit the button again, shock them, and then we're done. Sadly, this still is not the end of the night because we still have to move over to the circus control area via another vent. To do this, I need to slightly hover my mouse over the bottom of the screen and slide it either left or right while clicking until I hear myself enter the vent. After entering the circus control area, would you believe it, it's time for more of my favorite activity in the entire world, Ghost Child Electrocution. Yeah, it's just more of the exact same thing. We move our mouse into the bottom right corner and move at literally the exact same angle as we did for the second setup, and you know the rest. We eventually find the button, it's just more zappy zappy zappy, we kill the child, and now I get to go home. Hand unit tells me I did an absolutely perfect job. You click on the S button to return back to the vent, and again, hold W to make it through the vent. And now it's time for some good old popcorn and my favorite TV show that I can't watch. Overall, the successful attempt for this night took around 7 minutes, and I genuinely think, despite not being able to see, this night is still a perfect introduction to the game. It got me accustomed to just being blindfolded in the first place, creating janky setups and being okay with it, and most importantly, stabilizing my mouse. Just to let you know, my microphone in all of this attempt footage is absolutely dog shit. For some reason, I decided to use my Facecam's microphone instead of my big fancy one, so it sounds bad. And also, in all of my Facecam recordings, I am wearing the exact same shirt. No, I did not complete this entire challenge in one day, I just didn't want my shirt changing in every single piece of footage. And also, yes, I washed the shirt. Okay, so I obviously didn't move it properly.
Access denied.
I'm on the vent right now.
Access denied.
I'm envisioning it. I can see it. I'm basically there.
Let's try another control.
She's gonna die, dude. Oh wait, I have to watch my TV show, hold on. Upright or upside down?
You need to be part of your son's life.
Yeah, shut the up. There we go, that's night one. We did it. Perfect. The beginning of Night 2 is literally the exact same as Night 1 itself. We begin this night in the elevator, then move into the primary control module to check on Ballora and Funtime Foxy, then move into the circus control area to check on Baby. And the best thing about this is, we can use the exact same setups as we did in Night 1 to achieve the exact same thing. Although don't worry, you're still gonna get your daily dose of human suffrage, because in this night, there isn't just one extremely difficult section, there's actually two. That's right baby, it's the motherfucking Double Trouble night. In this night, we need to survive from the Biddy Babs underneath the desk, as well as survive from the ultimate gaslighting from our friend Funtime Freddy. Once we make it to the circus control area with absolutely no problems, cause I'm just that good, Hand Unit tells us that there's a power malfunction and he needs to do a system restart. So now I'm just sitting there in the dark all by myself with nobody to talk to.
I don't recognize you.
Wait,
You
who
are
the
you.
fuck? Circus Baby tells us to crawl under the desk to protect ourselves from these things. They're like small, bald babies, I don't know. To get underneath the desk, all we have to do is drag our cursor across the bottom of the screen while clicking, and we should crawl underneath the desk. Once we're there, we need to pull across this metal door so that we don't die to the bald children, and surprisingly,